Hi, what's going on, guys? If you have never applied for admission into a school abroad, or you have not been offered admission and or funding in your previous applications, this video will tell you everything that you need to know. By the end of this video, you won't need anyone to help you submit a solid application for a school abroad. I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process of applying for fully funded graduate programs in the United States. And this process is similar to applying to schools in other countries such as Canada and the UK. I'll tell you everything about funding, application requirements, deadlines, application fees, among others. So let's get started. The first thing is to be clear on the program that you want to pursue. If you have a bachelor's degree in a particular field, it's easy to want to pursue a master's or PhD in that field. But the US system is flexible enough to allow individuals from different backgrounds to have a master's degree in other fields. You can have a bachelor's degree in economics and be admitted into a master's degree in IT. But this is not true for every program. More importantly, you have to consider certain factors before deciding on a particular program. These may include the competitiveness of the program, funding availability, and whether you have taken the GRE. Getting admission into an economics master's program, for instance, may be very competitive. So you may want to consider the degrees such as African Studies if you really want to get into the country. Sometimes you may have to apply to a program that is closely related to what you want if what you really want is too competitive or that they don't offer funding. So for example, a business student may apply to a financial economics program rather than an MBA because MBA programs rarely come with good funding. Some people come to the United States to study a program that is easy to get into, and then when they are done with a degree or even at the start, they switch to another master's degree in a field they really want. I know someone who switched from financial economics to an IT program as soon as he got into the country. It is easier to get into certain programs when you are already in the country. GRE requirements may be waived for you if you are already in the country. Schools give priority to students already in the country. One reason is that if you are outside the country, you will need to get a visa to enter the country, and this is not automatically granted. You will find out that a lot of international students, including myself, have more than one master's degree. But if you believe you have competitive application materials or you have taken the GRE and the result was good, then you may look at a program that reflects your academic and career aspirations. It is also important to look for programs that align with your long-term goals. This is where your personal statement plays a crucial role in being admitted. Once you are sure of the program that you want to pursue, you have to search for the school that offers it or that offers a similar program. But how do you decide on the right school? Well, in future videos, I will suggest some of the many schools that I know to have offered admission and funding to international students. Many international students, including myself, are reluctant in taking the GRE, and as a result, we mostly settle for schools that don't require the GRE exam. But having a good GRE score is a big advantage to your application. You can apply to Harvard or MIT if you have a great GRE score. All these highly ranked schools require a GRE. In many cases, the difference between admission into a top class school and a low rank school is the GRE exam. In deciding on the school or program, you can also research the faculty, the curriculum, available resources, international student appeal, and overall reputation of the program. You may want to evaluate other factors such as the location, cost of living, and weather, in addition to any funding opportunities that they may offer. Many schools also offer both online and on-campus programs. However, if you want to study in the country, your only option is the on-campus option. Online programs require you to be in your home country. Also, online programs may not offer funding. Schools can have many campuses. Always choose the main campus when you are applying for admission. That is where everything happens, and that is where you can get the best funding, the best faculty, and the best academic resources. Once you've gathered enough information, it is time to move on to the next step. To find out if a school offers the program of your interest, you have to go to their website and look for the academic section. You will find out the programs that the school offers. You have to scroll through and select the one that you want. The next is to check the programs page for their requirements, the funding opportunities, and other information that may be useful to your application. You have to make sure you meet all the requirements before you submit and pay application fee. Otherwise, you waste your money. Also, make sure they have clearly stated on their website that they offer any of the funding options that I will mention later in this video. If an important information about the program, such as funding opportunities, has not been stated on the programs page, you should request for information. It can be a good idea to contact the director of the program or the graduate coordinator of the program about your interests, funding opportunities, and admission requirements. You can also reach out to current students, alumni, or faculty members to gain insights and ask specific questions. Generally, the following are the application materials that you need to apply for admission and funding. Usually, there is a section in the application where you need to scan and upload these documents. You need to request official transcript from all previous educational institutions you attended. Some schools prefer to receive the official transcript from your previous institutions directly. Others also require transcript evaluation. Some will allow you to use scanned copies for your application, but then you will need to present the originals before classes begin. The minimum GPA required for admission is usually 3.0. If your GPA falls below that, it will be difficult to be offered admission and funding. If a program states on their website that they require a minimum GPA of 3.0 and you have less than that, don't apply. You waste your money and time. Depending on the program, you may need to submit GRE, the GMAT, the SAT, the IELTS, or the TOEFL. You will need to submit the IELTS or the TOEFL if English is not your first or native language. Always check the program's page to determine whether or not the GRE is required and to understand how your scores will be evaluated as part of the application process. If you are unsure, request for more information. If your program requires a GRE, you must submit it along with your other application materials. Schools may allow you to submit your GRE results within a time frame if they are not ready at the time you submit your application, but you must have it ready before a decision is made on your application. I admit that the GRE exam is a challenging one and requires a lot of time and dedication to pass. To still get admission and funding without it, you have to make sure your application materials are very competitive. If your GPA is below 3.0 and you are looking for funding, my advice is that you have to take the GRE and use your personal statement to explain why your GPA is low. This is probably the only way. Otherwise, you waste your time and money on application fees. Schools require you to reach out to professors, employers, or mentors who can write strong recommendation letters on your behalf. Usually, schools require 2 or 3 recommendation letters. Recommendation can be submitted online by your recommenders, or you can get a paper recommendation from your recommenders and scan and upload them in your application. However, online recommendation is always preferred since the online recommendation allows your recommenders to give specific recommendation about your academic achievements, your strengths, and your weaknesses. A statement of purpose and a personal statement are both types of essays that are often required as part of the application process for graduate school. Now, while there is some overlap between the two, there are some key differences as well. I'll make a future video on that. Some schools are clear on what they want to see in your personal statement. In that case, it is important to carefully consider those requirements and guidelines and tailor your personal statement accordingly. Your personal statement should highlight your motivations, your research interests, and your future goals. I have read many personal statements where students ask for funding, but you shouldn't ask for funding in your personal statement unless stated by the department or unless it is a scholarship letter. If a school doesn't mention a specific requirement, make sure you submit a good one that will stand out. I have future videos coming up on what makes a personal statement stand out. So you have to start with an initial draft and then go back to it a few times to edit and make it better. Afterwards, you have to let at least 2 people proofread it to check for the flow, the grammar, and the essential elements that the personal statement must capture. Also note that some schools or some programs, for example in Ohio University, may require both. In your application, you need to submit a resume or CV to showcase your academic and professional experiences, your skills, and your achievements. In your resume, you will need to highlight any relevant research projects, internships, or publications. I'll tell you more about the resume, including a sample, in a future video. Now, before we talk about application, I want to explain a few important concepts regarding study abroad applications. The first one is funding. Like I mentioned, don't ask for funding in your personal statement unless otherwise stated on a program's website. Most admissions automatically come with funding. The funding involves working for your department or school. Sometimes you will be asked in the application if you want funding and the type of funding that you want. The funding options may include a fellowship, a teaching assistantship to teach undergraduate students, a research assistantship to help faculty with research, or graduate assistantship to help departments or school with administrative duties. It is always a good idea to select other funding options provided. You shouldn't worry about your qualification. You actually know more than you think and you can always learn. There are also partial funding options, and these options allow you to work more hours on campus. But remember, campus work don't pay well, so it is always a better idea to get full funding. Sometimes the school will interview you to make a final decision on your application and decide whether to give you funding. An example is the public administration program at Ohio University. If you are selected for an interview, you have to make sure you prepare thoroughly by researching the program and practicing your responses to common interview questions. You have to dress professionally and be on time for your online interview. Sometimes there are scholarships within the school that your department will encourage you to apply for. Sometimes you may not receive any funding, but you can get funding from other departments within the school. You have to search for them or ask questions. If you are offered admission without funding, you can check other departments within the school for funding, but this is hard if you are not already in the country. Sometimes your department can give you funding in your second semester, but this is contingent on your academic performance and funding availability. I know some students who eventually got full funding starting out with no or partial funding. Graduate school applications have deadlines, so it's always a good idea to submit your application well in advance, especially if you are looking for funding. Ideally, submit your application by December for the next fall admissions. The fall admission period is the most common admission period and is ideal for seeking funding. The weather is also friendly for you to gradually adapt to the winter season. Note that the fall semester is from August to December. Now, while fall admissions are the most common intake period, some institutions also offer admissions for the spring semester, and you may get funding too. The spring semester is from January to May, There is also summer semester, but it is not really considered. The summer semester is from May to August. For each of these admission periods, the deadlines are ideally the end of the previous admission period. So if you want admission to start in fall 2024, you should submit your application by the end of fall 2023, that is by December, for priority consideration. Some schools are flexible and can accept applications even in May 2024, but these are offered to students already in the country and they rarely come with good funding. I would say don't waste your time applying to a program after May if you are outside the country. If you are not in the country already, you only have few months or few weeks to get admission decision, receive your I-20 and process your visa. The visa processing alone can take up to 6 months. To get into a good program, you should be prepared to pay application fees, which can vary depending on the program and institution. It can range between $30 and $100. If you meet all the requirements for a program and you have confirmed that they offer funding, you can go ahead and submit an application. On a school's website or on a program's website, you will find apply now or apply, and when you click on it, you will be required to sign in or create an account. Graduate schools have online application portals where you can create an account and submit your documents electronically. You will need to fill out the application form and upload all your documents. Then you have to pay the appropriate application fee and submit. Usually you will receive a confirmation email that your application has been submitted, and depending on the school, there will be further instructions on what to do next, such as create a school ID and email. I want you to pay attention to the following. Consider applying to multiple programs to increase your chances of admission and funding, but make sure you have enough time and resources to prepare strong applications for each program. I would suggest you apply to at least 3 programs. Be honest and authentic in your application materials and highlight your strengths and unique qualities. Also, make sure you follow the program's instructions carefully and provide all the required information. Avoid repeating information that is already included in other part of your application, such as your resume or transcript. Also, double check all your application materials before submission, and keep a copy of your application materials for your records. Sometimes you can track your application status online. Some schools allow you to track the progress of your application. The application status may change from submitted to under review and then to admitted or denied. Others only let you know about the status of your application after a decision has been made. Sometimes the school or the department may contact you to submit additional documents or documents that you did not submit during your application. Usually the decisions are made between February and April for fall semesters, but it can be made as early as January. Sometimes admission decision comes first and then the funding decision will follow. Sometimes they come together. Your department or the graduate school will reach out to you about these decisions. If you have not been contacted by the school about your admission and funding by May, it is a good idea to contact your department about it, specifically the director or the coordinator of the program. It is important to tell you that admission and funding are very competitive and not automatic. Your application materials must be solid and competitive. Sometimes the study abroad opportunity delays for some people, but if you are determined and you don't give up, your dreams will become a reality. I know some people who spent years to eventually get here, and whatever happens, you have to be patient and continue believing in yourself. Remember to thoroughly research your desired programs, prepare your application materials diligently, and submit everything on time. If you have found this guide helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more educational content. If you have any questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave them in the comments below. And always remember, you are special. So until next time, take care and best of luck with your applications.